Hello there, back here at the Prudential Center in Newark alongside Christian Gardner. I am Chris Russo. The Seton Hall Pirates fall to the St. Louis Billikens by the score of 66-64 tonight. Now, it was 33-28 St. Louis at the half, but Seton Hall kept missing shots, but it did look like Seton Hall was the better team in the second half.
Yeah, that was for sure. In that first half, Miles Powell wasn't doing a lot offensively. He only had 3 points, but he really stepped up in that second half, scoring 16 points total. But early in that second half, St. Louis jumped out to a 10-point lead in the 18th minute, but Seton Hall kept it going and tied the game up late.
Now, I think a big part of this game was Seton Hall actually making their free throws in the second half, and that's what really kept it close.
Yeah, that was for sure. Those free throws were kind of pesky in that first half, dropping a lot, but they finished with 71% from the free throw line.
They surprisingly actually finished with a better free throw percentage than St. Louis, but I think another big problem would have to be just their overall shooting, particularly from three-point range.
Oh yeah, 24% from three. Now that's no way to win a game if you can't even shoot 30% from three.
I think another thing we have to discuss about tonight's game is, although we didn't see him a lot, I think we saw a strong game from Anthony Nelson.
Oh, most definitely. Anthony Nelson, the freshman, in those final 2 minutes came in for Miles Cale, a proven veteran for this team. It just goes to show what he was doing defensively for this team. When they went to full court press, it was Anthony Nelson checking Isabel throughout the entire game.
And Isabel, of course, fouled out with 2 minutes left in the game. He had 13 points. Nelson only had 4, but he did play well on the defensive end. He played better than the stats. All right, now going back to the first half, it was 33-28 St. Louis at the half, but what could have really been the difference at halftime and for the game was probably the play of Torian Thompson.
Yeah, Torian Thompson had a lot of good shots, a lot of easy layups, but it just couldn't make him. He only went 1 for 5 in that first half, and if had some of those points back, it could have been a different game.
It absolutely could have. Now, Kevin Willard said that this team is really going to be excited for a change of scenery as they head out to California, and then of course they're going to have Louisville back here. How do you think going to California for this Thanksgiving weekend is really going to make a difference for this team?
Coach Willard talked about getting some wins under their belt. Now I think getting some good games under their belt, getting a lot of experience for this young team will be helpful for them out in California.
Now, speaking of youth, there was actually a veteran who had a pretty good game tonight. We didn't see a lot of him in the second half, but talk to me about what you thought about Romero Gill tonight.
Romero Gill had a great first half. He had 2 blocks back-to-back, stopping that St. Louis attack, and he had a lot of points, 6 points, getting dishes from Shavar Reynolds. And he just had a great first half for the big man.
And of course, we didn't see a lot of him in the second half because Sandro Mamukelashvili actually played quite well tonight with, I believe, at least 10 points.
Yeah, he picked up a lot of those points, and he had a good look at the end to win the game. Unfortunately, it just didn't go in.
And could you take us through that look? It was 66-64 St. Louis. Seton Hall really cut into it at the end. Miles Powell hit a three-pointer with 9.8 seconds left to cut it down to that score, or at least cut it down to 1 before St. Louis hit free throws. So could you take us through that final play?
Yeah, so it looked like Coach Willard wanted to check in Roden, but he couldn't get that substitution because Wiley missed that last free throw. Now Quincy McKnight took the ball down the court and he drove into the lane. He was looking at Miles Powell, but Miles Powell was double covered. But as Quincy McKnight went crashing towards the board, Sandro Mamukelashvili was open for 3. He dished it out. It was a wide open look, and it just unfortunately didn't go in for the Hall.
Now, Sandro Mamukelashvili, not a natural three-point shooter. It wasn't a terrible shot, even for a wide-open shot, but nonetheless, the Pirates fall 66-64. Their record drops to 1-2, and they go to California next weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, for a tournament as they face off against teams like Hawaii, Utah, Grand Canyon, and it should be very interesting. So that'll do it here from Newark for Christian Gardner. I am Chris Russo. Thank you for tuning in.